There is something happening inside your body every single night, something most men over 50 have no idea about, and it is quietly draining the one hormone that keeps you feeling like yourself. And the worst part, you might actually be making it worse right before bed without even knowing it. I am Dr. Natalia Parker, and I am going to explain this with complete clarity today. Here is what I need you to understand before anything else. There is a window, a very specific window during the night when your body is supposed to rebuild its hormonal supply. Most men have never heard about this window, their doctors never mentioned it, and because they do not know it exists, they accidentally destroy it almost every single evening. I am going to show you exactly when that window opens, what shuts it down, and a ridiculously simple mixture involving olive oil that could help you work with your body instead of against it. But there is a catch, and if you miss it, the whole thing falls apart. We will get to that. First, I need you to hear something that most people will never tell you honestly. That heaviness you have been feeling, the mornings where you wake up and your body feels like it did not recharge at all, the energy that vanishes by noon, the drive that used to be automatic and now feels like it takes effort just to show up, that is not in your head. That is not laziness. That is not age punishing you for getting older. That is your body sending a very specific signal that something in the hormonal chain has gotten disrupted. And millions of men are walking around right now with this exact disruption happening silently, thinking it is just what getting older feels like. I see it in my practice constantly. Strong, capable men who built careers, raised families, handled everything life threw at them, sitting across from me looking embarrassed because they think they are broken. And every time I tell them the same thing. You are not broken. Your body has not lost its ability. What happened is something started interfering with the process. And most of the time, the interference started at night. Now here is where it gets interesting, and this is the part almost nobody talks about. Your body does not produce hormones evenly throughout the day. It is not like a faucet that runs at the same pressure all the time. There is a peak production period, and it happens during deep sleep, roughly between midnight and 4 in the morning. That is when the real work gets done. Think of it like a factory that only runs the night shift. During the day, you are using the product, burning through energy, burning through hormonal reserves. At night, the factory is supposed to restock everything. But here is the critical detail. The factory only runs efficiently under very specific conditions. If those conditions are not met, production slows down or in some cases, nearly stops. And most men over 50 are unknowingly creating the exact conditions that shut the factory down. I had a patient, 61 years old, retired teacher, active during the day, walked every morning, ate what he considered a healthy diet. But he came to me completely drained, no energy by afternoon. His mood had shifted. His relationship with his wife was suffering because the desire just was not there anymore. He had seen 3 different doctors who told him it was just age, just accept it, but something was not adding up because his blood work was not catastrophic. His levels were low, yes, but not at the point where you would expect someone to feel that destroyed. So I started asking about his nights, and that is when everything unraveled. But before I tell you what we discovered, I need to explain the 3 invisible saboteurs that attack your hormonal production every single night, because chances are at least one of them is affecting you right now, and you have no idea. The first saboteur is internal inflammation, not the kind you can see or feel, not a swollen ankle or a red cut. This is low-grade, chronic inflammation that sits quietly inside your body like a slow fire. And here is what most people do not realize. When your body detects inflammation, it goes into emergency mode. It redirects resources. It prioritizes fighting the fire over everything else, including hormone production. Imagine your body is a company with a limited budget. When there is a crisis, a fire in the building, the company pulls funding from long-term projects to deal with the immediate emergency. Hormonal production is the long-term project. Inflammation is the fire. And for millions of men, that fire never fully goes out. It just keeps smoldering, day after day, night after night, quietly stealing resources from the hormonal factory. What feeds this fire? Processed food, sugar, chronic stress, poor sleep, too much alcohol, all the things that accumulate as life gets busier. And the scary part is you can feel perfectly fine during the day and still have significant inflammation running in the background. The second saboteur has to do with what happens in your kitchen every evening. But I need you to understand how these first two saboteurs work together, because that combination is what really causes the damage. Your digestive system and your hormonal system share resources: blood flow, liver function, metabolic energy. And here is the problem: they cannot both run at full capacity at the same time. When your body is busy breaking down a heavy meal late at night, the liver gets completely occupied processing fats, proteins, heavy carbohydrates. And when the liver is locked into digestion mode, it cannot perform its role in hormonal metabolism. It is like trying to run two massive programs on an old computer simultaneously. Everything slows down. And the third saboteur, the one that ties everything together, is what I call the cortisol trap. This is the one that makes grown men feel like they are losing themselves. When you go to bed stressed, when your mind is racing with bills, with work problems, with worries about the future, your body does not just ignore that. It responds chemically. It floods your system with cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol has a direct, measurable, inverse relationship with the hormone you need most. When cortisol goes up, the other goes down. They compete for the same raw materials, the same production pathways. And cortisol almost always wins because, from your body's perspective, surviving a perceived threat is more important than maintaining long-term hormonal health. Your body cannot tell the difference between a lion chasing you and a credit card bill keeping you up at night. The chemical response is identical. So now you have the picture: inflammation stealing resources, heavy digestion locking up the liver, cortisol competing directly for hormonal production. Three forces hitting you simultaneously every single night, and your body is supposed to somehow still produce adequate hormones during that narrow window between midnight and 4 in the morning? No wonder so many men are struggling. Now let me tell you what happened with that patient I mentioned. When I asked about his evenings, the pattern was textbook. Every night, big dinner around 8:30 or 9, meat, rice, bread, sometimes dessert. Then he would sit on the couch watching news, which stressed him out, until about 11. Then straight to bed, mind still buzzing, stomach still full. His body never had a chance. Every single one of those three saboteurs was hitting him full force every single night for years. Drop a comment below telling me where you are watching from, because I see people from so many different places dealing with this exact same pattern, and it helps me understand who this information is reaching. Now here is where the olive oil comes in, and I need to explain the science behind this before I give you the actual method, because when you understand why it works, you will take it seriously instead of dismissing it as some folk remedy. Hormones, particularly the ones we are talking about, are built from fat, not carbohydrates, not protein, fat. More specifically, they are synthesized from cholesterol, which your body produces from dietary fats. This is basic endocrinology. Without adequate good fat in your system, your body literally lacks the raw material to manufacture hormones. It is like trying to build a house without bricks. You can have the best blueprint, the best construction crew, but if the materials are not there, nothing gets built. And here is the mistake I see constantly, especially in men over 50. They get scared of fat. A doctor tells them to watch their cholesterol, and suddenly they cut everything. No butter, no oil, no nuts, no avocado. They go on these ultra-low-fat diets thinking they are protecting their heart, and meanwhile, their hormonal production collapses because the body has no substrate to work with. Low-fat diets in men over 50 are associated with measurably lower hormonal levels. This is documented. This is not opinion. The intention is good, but the result is the opposite of what they wanted. Now, not all fats are equal, and this matters enormously. You need monounsaturated fat, the kind that does not trigger inflammation, the kind that actually helps reduce it. And one of the richest, most accessible sources of monounsaturated fat is extra virgin olive oil. Not regular olive oil, not the cheap refined stuff, extra virgin, the real thing. Extra virgin olive oil contains compounds called polyphenols, which are powerful natural anti-inflammatory agents. So, when you consume it, you are doing two things simultaneously. You are providing the raw material your body needs to produce hormones, and you are actively fighting the inflammation that was blocking production in the first place. That is a two-front approach from a single tablespoon. But here is the detail that changes everything, and this is what separates the men who get results from the ones who try it and feel nothing. Timing matters. A lot. And there is a specific error that completely cancels the benefit, and I will tell you what it is, but first you need to understand why the nighttime window is so critical for this particular approach. During the day, your body is in active mode. Digestion is fast, metabolism is high, cortisol is naturally elevated. Anything you consume gets processed quickly and used for immediate energy. But at night, when your body shifts into recovery mode, the metabolic environment changes. Nutrients are processed differently. Fat absorption is slower, more sustained. And this is exactly what you want, because you need that steady supply of good fat available precisely during the hours when hormonal production peaks. Taking olive oil 30 to 60 minutes before bed allows it to be partially digested and entering your system right as your body begins its nocturnal repair cycle. The monounsaturated fat becomes available as raw material for hormone synthesis at the exact time the factory is ramping up production. The polyphenols start their anti-inflammatory work, helping to calm that low-grade fire that has been stealing resources. And because olive oil is a slow-digesting, low-glycemic food, it does not spike insulin, which means it does not trigger the metabolic chaos that processed food causes. Now, here is the method. 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. That is it. You can take it straight from the spoon, or if the taste is too strong for you, squeeze a few drops of lemon into it. The lemon adds vitamin C, which has its own role in hormonal support, and it makes it much more pleasant to consume. Another option is adding a small amount of fresh grated ginger, which brings additional anti-inflammatory properties and improves circulation. Take it 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to sleep, not immediately before lying down, because that can cause reflux or discomfort. You need to give your body a short window to begin processing it in an upright position. But here is the error that ruins everything for most men who try this, and I cannot stress this enough, because I have seen it happen over and over. The error is not about the olive oil itself, it is about what comes before it. If you eat a heavy dinner at 9 at night, a full plate of meat, potatoes, rice, bread, maybe some fried food on the side, and then you take your tablespoon of olive oil at 10, thinking you have done something helpful, you have wasted your time. Completely. Because your liver is already overwhelmed processing that massive meal. Your digestive system is running at full capacity. Your body has no bandwidth left to properly utilize the olive oil for what you actually need it to do. It is like trying to add premium fuel to an engine that is already flooded. It does not matter how good the fuel is if the engine cannot process it. The olive oil works when the body has space to use it properly. And that means what you eat for dinner, and when you eat it matters just as much as the olive oil itself. Here is the approach that actually works. Dinner should be lighter, not tiny, not starvation portions, but intelligent. A lean protein like grilled chicken or fish. A portion of cooked vegetables or a fresh salad. If you want carbohydrates, keep it modest. Maybe a small sweet potato or a small serving of whole grain rice. No fried food. No heavy sauces, no eating until you feel stuffed, eat until you feel satisfied, and stop. And here is the timing piece that most people miss. Try to finish dinner at least 2 hours before bed. 3 hours is even better. This gives your body time to handle the bulk of digestion before you lie down. When you finally go horizontal, your stomach should feel relatively light. That lightness is not just comfortable, it is functional. It means your liver is available. It means your metabolic system has capacity. It means when you take that olive oil 30 minutes before bed, your body can actually absorb it and direct it where it needs to go. Now, I need to be completely transparent with you about something, because I refuse to be one of those people who tells you a single trick will transform your life overnight. The olive oil is one piece, an important piece, yes, A piece backed by real nutritional science, yes, but it is one piece of a larger picture, and if you ignore the rest of the picture, you will be disappointed. The second critical element is sleep itself. Without deep, quality sleep, nothing else matters. Not the olive oil, not the diet, not any supplement. Because the hormonal production window only opens during deep sleep phases. If you are not reaching deep sleep, the factory barely runs, regardless of whether the raw materials are available. I had another patient, 58, who did everything right nutritionally, took the olive oil, ate clean, avoided sugar, but he went to bed at 1:30 in the morning every single night because he was hooked on late-night television, every night sitting in front of the screen until the early hours, blue light flooding his eyes, his brain still activated and alert. He could not understand why he still felt terrible. His exact words were, "I am doing everything you told me, and nothing is changing." And when we looked at the numbers, it was obvious. He was going to bed after the primary production window had already opened. By the time he fell asleep at 2 in the morning, he had already missed 2 hours of peak production time. And the sleep he did get was shallow because his brain had been overstimulated by screens right up until the moment he closed his eyes. He was supplying the factory with perfect materials, but the factory doors were locked because he was never there during operating hours. When he finally committed to being in bed by 10:30, lights off, phone away, screen off, the change was remarkable. 2 weeks, and he was already reporting better mornings. 3 months later, his blood work showed measurable improvement. Same diet, same olive oil. The only change was sleep timing. Your target should be to be in bed before 11 on most nights. I understand this is not always possible. Life happens, there are responsibilities, events, things that come up. But on the majority of your nights, aim for it. Get the lights low by 9:30. Step away from screens. Let your brain begin its wind-down process naturally, and when you lie down, make the room dark, cool, and quiet. These are not luxuries. These are the operating conditions your hormonal factory requires. And there is one more piece that almost nobody mentions, and it might be the most important thing I tell you today. Patience. Hormonal adaptation is slow. This is not a headache pill that works in 30 minutes. This is your body gradually recalibrating systems that have been disrupted for months or years. The changes are real, but they are incremental. Some men notice a shift in energy within a week. For others, it takes 2 or 3 weeks. Some need a full month before the difference becomes clearly noticeable. And here is where most men sabotage themselves. They try this for 5 days, do not feel a dramatic transformation, and quit. They go back to their old routine and tell themselves it does not work. But think about it. Your body has been operating under suboptimal conditions for potentially years. You cannot undo that in 5 days. You would not plant a seed and dig it up the next morning because it had not sprouted yet. Hormonal recovery follows the same principle. Consistency is the only thing that works, so let me give you the complete evening routine. Simple, practical, nothing that requires buying expensive products or changing your entire life. Starting at 7 in the evening, cut sugar. No sweets, no soda, no heavy desserts. If you want something sweet, eat a piece of fruit, an apple, a pear, a small banana. That is it. Have your dinner between 7 and 8. Keep it light. Lean protein, vegetables, a modest amount of complex carbohydrate. Eat until you are satisfied, not stuffed. After dinner, if you can, take a short walk. Even 10 minutes around the block helps. It aids digestion and helps your body begin transitioning toward rest mode. At 9:30, take your tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, with lemon or ginger if you prefer, or plain. Take it calmly, slowly. After that, start dimming the lights. Turn off the television or lower the volume significantly. Put your phone down, ideally in another room. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, which directly impairs sleep quality. By 10:30, you should be in bed. Room dark, temperature comfortable, mind quiet. Take a few deep breaths. Let the tension of the day dissolve. And sleep. That is the full picture. You are giving your body the raw material it needs with the olive oil. You are reducing inflammation by avoiding sugar at night and consuming polyphenol-rich fat. You are freeing up your liver by eating lighter with time to digest. You are reducing cortisol by stepping away from screens and creating a calm transition into sleep. And you are honoring the production window by being in deep sleep during the hours when your body does its most important hormonal work. One important note: if you have a sensitive stomach, gastritis, or acid reflux, do not take the olive oil on a completely empty stomach. Have a small piece of fruit or a thin slice of whole grain bread with it. This prevents irritation while still keeping the digestive load minimal. And please, listen to me carefully here. This is not a substitute for medical care. If your symptoms are severe, if your levels on blood work are critically low, if you are experiencing complete loss of function, see a urologist. There may be an underlying condition that needs proper investigation. There may be cases where medical intervention is genuinely necessary. What I am telling you today is for the majority of men whose bodies simply need the right conditions to perform the way they are still capable of performing. Because here is the truth that I wish every man over 50 could hear. Your body has not lost its ability. You are not finished. What happened is that over time, the signals got confused, the conditions shifted, the environment your body needs stopped being provided, inflammation crept in, sleep deteriorated, meals got heavier and later, stress piled up, and the factory that was always ready to work never got the chance to run properly. But when you change the conditions, when you give the body what it actually needs, it responds. I have seen it happen with thousands of men. Men who walked in convinced it was over, that this was just what their life would be from now on. And then weeks later, they come back with more energy, better mood, sharper focus, and that look in their eyes that says something shifted. Consistency beats age. Every single time. It is not about becoming who you were at 30. This is about becoming the strongest, most vital version of yourself right now, at 50, at 60, at 70, and that is absolutely achievable when you take care of the fundamentals. If this kind of straightforward, science-based information is what you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We talk about the things most people skip over, explained in a way that makes sense and fits into real life. No gimmicks, just clear information you can act on tonight. So tonight, try it. Lighter dinner, tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil 30 minutes before bed. In bed before 11, do it consistently for 2 weeks, then come back and tell me what changed. I think you are going to be surprised by what your body is still capable of when you stop fighting it and start working with it. Take care of yourself. I will see you in the next video.